Zero Credibility Sports. We took a minute for a break, and now we're back. Me and Justin in the house. All right, let's go. So NBA, I think the dust has finally settled. All the big players have moved, and we're going to spend this moment to talk about the last big trade that just happened a week ago. Is it a week ago? Yeah, a week ago. So Russ traded to the Rockets.
Yeah, big trades can still happen.
Okay. As in, like, you mean like some of these, like, for example, like Chris Paul or something like that, right? You mean some pieces, big pieces could still move. Well,
I mean, like pretty much all the big names of free agency are gone, like are done. But trades can still happen.
Yeah, big trades can still happen. Like something like CB3 could be moved before the trade deadline. The trade deadline's in where? It's in November, right? November.
I mean, it's pretty much goes all the way up to like pretty much like couple of weeks or a couple of months before the All-Star break. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, I think we've kind of got a rough picture of the NBA landscape for going into next season. I think the next episode we'll do a preseason over and under win prediction, and we'll see who comes out on top this time. But okay, basically Russell Westbrook was traded from OKC to the Rockets with CP3 going the other way. Also, OKC got loads of trade picks. I think that's too many to name, but they basically got more trade picks than the Lakers than the Pelicans did for trading AD away to the Lakers. So
you mean lottery picks? They got 6 of them.
Yeah, lottery picks. Yeah, 6 of them. Yeah, but I mean, that aside, I mean, who wins the? Okay, let's go simply. Who you think won the trade?
I mean, it depends.
Who won the trade right now? I think it's self-explanatory.
I mean, it depends. Right?
It depends.
I mean, because they got picks, so it depends. Like, it depends who they get who they get.
I mean, okay, fine, but I mean,
like 3 years from now, if the next Michael Jordan comes up and they get them, and they get whoever it is, like, then, I mean, yeah,
I mean,
okay, it's not like a player per player. It's like a player for picks.
Yeah, you know what? I need to stop with this. Like, who won the trade? It depends on the situation. Okay, what do you think of let's just focus on the Houston Rockets. What do you think of the Houston Rockets situation right now? Getting rid of Chris Paul and replacing him with Russ, did they get better?
I think that the rumors throughout the season pointed to some sort of disagreement between Chris Paul and James Harden. I think that it was probably a move that maybe the front office felt they had to make. And it's probably a move that I think, especially after the Paul George trade happened, Oklahoma City has to go into that mentality of, all right, we don't have Paul George anymore. We've got Russell Westbrook on a big contract. The rest of the team isn't very good. What do we do now? So, I think it's quite, maybe it's a bit of hindsight, but I think it was more a question of, I think as soon as Paul George is traded, they know that probably they want to trade away Russell Westbrook, but it was just more a matter of, can we find anywhere where he will land, right? Can we find anyone that wants to take the contract? And they did find one in terms of in the Rockets, and the Rockets did it, I guess, primarily not, their main priority was not financial. Their main priority was maybe to, hoping not to not to fracture, if there's a big argument of if there's a big issue that happens during the season between the two major stars, like pretty much they're done for the rest of the season. So, overall it was a pretty common sense in terms of it was just a matter of it seems to to work out well for both front offices, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like you said, ever since the Paul George trade, when Paul George left, I think it kind of left the organization with almost like no choice to kind of blow up the organization, because you're not gonna, you might make the playoff, but like no way you're gonna make it past the first round, right? You got like a triple double machine and
They weren't gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, okay,
I didn't think they would make the playoffs without Paul George.
Yeah, maybe not in this landscape because all these duos. Yeah, you're right. Maybe not. So I think they did what's best for both parties. I think Russell Westbrook probably wanted to leave as well, right? If you think about it, right? Because at first he had like a duo in Paul George, and now he was gone, and I don't think they were looking to get anybody, and I think this is the best situation. So for me,
I don't know if he was willing to leave, but I mean, at least the stories I read didn't seem to indicate that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was more a matter of like the concern was, can we find some team that's willing to take the contracts, because he's on the Supermax, right? So
yeah.
So can we find some team that's able to take the contract? And that ironically, that was also the issue with the Rockets and Chris Paul.
Yes.
Whereas they also were like, can we find some team that's willing to take the contract?
Yeah. Because they're saying like a lot of all the like mainstream tabloids were always saying, the top 3 worst contracts in the NBA. First is usually, like everyone says, is John Wall's contract with the Wizards, and then followed by Chris Paul's with the Rockets, and then maybe Russell Westbrook's with OKC. So I mean, like, if you want to trade any of this, is probably like you have to find a market, and they found a perfect market with OKC in terms of the Rockets trying to trade away CP3. And I think let's just move on to. I think for me personally, in terms of like the Rocket talent wise, I think they got better, but I don't know. I mean, this is a very common topic point, like 2 real ball dominant players, which is pretty much similar to Chris Paul and James Harden. I think they kind of work, but like a lot of people are saying like, will Russ and Harden work well together? Like, do you see D'Antoni finding some way to fit both of their talents together?
Well, it's one of those things where like, so in terms of whether they got better, I think I don't know, because I think no one's going to deny that Chris Paul is a great player, and I think unless you are super cynical, I think Russell Westbrook's a good player as well. I think it's more along the lines of, and I think it's something that you're sort of hinting towards, which is the style, right? Like you said, like Chris Paul was, Russell Westbrook was a very ball dominant player. James Harden's a very ball dominant player. In theory, the Chris Paul James Harden duo should work very well, because Chris Paul is a pass first point guard, right?
Yes.
But the problem, I think there was more personal issues in the breakdown of that relationship, more so than stylistic issues. So then, now, I think it's a good question to ask in terms of, will D'Antoni be able to get these guys to work together? I think that I think that this idea of like, the meme around it is, they both will fight over the ball for the last shot.
Yes.
I think that, as most memes are, is a bit exaggerated, because there's precedence. Like, these two have played together before. But I think
OKC,
yeah, exactly. But I think that brings in itself its own problems, in the sense that on the one hand, these two have played together before, so they know how to play together, and it shouldn't be too big an issue. But it's like, we've seen what happens when these two play together before, and the fact of the matter is that they weren't particularly successful.
Yeah.
So
and like back then, like Harden wasn't a starting point guard; he was a sixth man. So it's a very different Harden right now.
yeah,
And there's also quite different it's a more like they're both more matured in different stages of their careers. I mean, both of them are essentially in the same stage in a sense where they're like at their like very peak. Like maybe you could argue that maybe Westbrook is starting to hit the decline, maybe because he's played they say 1,000 games, right? After 1,000 games, point guards usually start wearing and tearing, and especially the way Russell Westbrook plays at 100 like 20% every game. It might be very different nowadays.
Yeah, but whenever these sort of moves happens, like I'm a bit more, especially since I'm a neutral, I'm always excited to see, how things work out, because I think a lot of people in sports in general, whether that sport be football or basketball or whatever, a lot of observers and commentators don't really understand the sport that well. They don't really understand systems. They don't really understand tactics. They don't really understand, play instructions. They don't really understand all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that I do, but I'm saying that, I think it's very easy for a lot of people, oh, this won't work. But
yeah,
I'm quite excited to see, because I don't think that this will. I think it could work. And if it does work, it's one of those things where like you're fascinated, because if it does work, you're sort of like, oh, like why is this working? Like you're fascinated by it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, for always when it comes to this sort of thing, I'm always a bit sort of
more optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if optimistic is the right word, but I'm a bit more like
open to the idea. I think open, right?
Yeah, because if not, because obviously, like some people, like someone in the org can see it working for them to make the move.
Yeah. Right? No, of course, yeah. Of course.
So why do they think it can work? And the thing is, the people within the coaching staff or within the ownership or within will know much better about this is how we play our game, or this is what we can do, or this is what we can say, or this like they have way more control over like whether they can make it work or not. So they're in a much better position to say whether this can work or not compared to outside observers. Yeah. So I'm not saying that they're always right, but I'm just saying like if it does work, it'll be very interesting. Like because I think the gut instinct for a lot of people is that it's not going to work. Yeah.
No, for me it's like I mean sometimes I look past playing styles. Sometimes it's also character. I can see like a lot of people think, oh, this is the way Russell Westbrook plays, he's definitely going to be like, give me the fucking ball, I'm going to drive in and shoot, like, I'm going to shoot from wherever because I'm like, I'm Russ, right? I'm triple double Russ. So, but I think there's more like, I think there's more to it than just like what you've seen in the past. Because, sometimes a player puts it when he's placed in a different team, and if he buys into a different system, he's willing to change it up. You know what I mean? You see it. You get to see different sides of different players in different teams sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or even let's say like the head coach is very influential, and is able to craft a system around having these two players. Maybe there's also, and this is just all speculation, but like at OKC, is look, like I have no choice. Like I have to do these things if we're gonna win. If not, we're not gonna win. So that's and all that sort of thing. But that's why like I said, I'll say again, whenever these sort of things happen, these sort of trades happen, and it's about like systems and like how are these two players gonna fit and all that sort of thing. I'm not as quick to write off things so easily as many people are. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'll bring it up. Like last year when Carmelo Anthony went to the Rockets, I think a lot of people say, "Oh, this will never work," right? And look, in the end, it didn't work. But the fact of the matter is, like, I pretty sure I have it on record saying, "Look, again, I agree. My gut reaction, I still don't think it'll work, but I'm not willing to, I'm probably not on the level of like immediately like what's the point of even signing him? Like people know, like this won't work. What's even the point? Because when D'Antoni and Daryl Morey like get Carmelo, obviously they think like we think this can work if we do this, and they're in a better position than me to say, to be able to think whether it can work or not.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No. Sometimes like, people just like, you make calls and stuff, and sometimes like like you say, like sometimes you're not fully like, confident, or you just think, oh, maybe there's like, like you said, the org sees a possibility. Maybe they see more things than we do. They're definitely privy to more information than we are, and if they make the decision, obviously, you go like, maybe there's something there, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. You know what I mean? So there's like plenty of things that could happen, and I agree with you. Sometimes it's just that like I don't think people should write it off, because there could be a chance, that something could work out. I think they will surprise. I personally think like I'm going to make a call that I think they will surprise a lot of people, but I think they'll get knocked out in the second round, maybe the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that I mean, to be honest, right now I'm not willing to make that call. But what I do think is that I think my gut instinct, my gut reaction is that I don't think this is as bad a move as people are making out to be.
Yes.
I think that there is, right now at least, there's mutual respect between James Harden and Russell Westbrook. And I think that the problem I see with the Rockets roster at the moment is the same problem as they had last year.
The front court?
It's a lack of depth. It's the players outside the top two players. It's the players who are not James Harden and Chris Paul. It's the players who are not James Harden and Russell Westbrook. To me, that was the problem with the Rockets, and they haven't made moves or like to really address that problem yet. So I think if they fail,
they'll end up
that is possibly a bigger problem than the Russell Westbrook James Harden quote unquote problem.
As soon as I know, I think they got like probably a strong four-man team. They have they still have Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, but that's about it, right. Like I don't think maybe Clint Capella, but then you don't have like anyone off the bench to come lock things down when they have to put out the second team.
Yeah, well, they were willing to. I think there were a few. I think it was either one of. Wait, PJ Tucker's not the Rockets anymore, right? He was not the Rockets.
No, Trevor Ariza is the one, not the Rockets, right?
Yeah, but I think one of those, it's either Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker, where they were like they had a player option or a team option on their contract this off season. And the Rockets essentially said, we're not going to lose you. So yeah, I think that was a good move by the front office. But I also think, like this, like Clint Capella, I think there was a lot of optimism behind last season after the way that he played the previous season, where he really came into his own. But this season, or the season that's just gone, you can see that he didn't really, I guess, meet the heights of expectation. I think, especially in the playoffs. So I think it's still. There's still things to be. I think there's still issues with the Rockets in terms of their ability to win a championship. But I'm not sure that the main issue is going to be James Harden or Russell Westbrook. It could be, but I think that like right now, that's not my gut feeling.
Yeah. I think I'm just looking at the squad right now. I think it's okay. They got a bit of a squad going. FA means free agent. Oh, okay, the free agents. So, I mean, it looks okay. I think the team looks kind of okay. They got Tyson Chandler.
Much, right? Like they haven't got many new players.
No, depth wise, they got Tyson Chandler. Austin Rivers is still there. They still have PJ Tucker. They still have Eric Gordon, I think.
Yeah, so basically they have the same team, except they swapped Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. But that's what I'm saying is the problem.
Oh, you mean you don't think the starting five is strong enough?
the players outside of the top two players, the squad lacks depth.
Okay. No. I thought you meant that like they have a good enough first team. When you mean depth, I thought you meant the rotations. Because like for me, I think. So you're saying outside the top two players, they're just really far away from like a championship winning team. But then like the Raptors won with like 1 star and like a bunch of no stars.
Yes. But
So
I think
so I'm basically asking you. So you think the Raptors squad, as in like people like Van Fleet, Kyle Lowry, like all these players are better than the Rocket, than like for example Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker and
I mean
Clint Capella?
on paper, I think on paper, if at the start of last season you said that, right? I think people will be like, no. But
Yeah.
today,
Okay, yeah.
you can only go by the evidence, right? Like, and you've
Yeah.
seen these two teams play in the playoffs, right? So, if we look past maybe, for example, in the Rockets, there's a bit more name recognition, right? But this name record, like what Tyson Chandler has to be like close to 40 by now.
Yeah, he's old.
Like so, like the based on the evidence, like there's no
36.
Like and that's the issue with the Rockets, and that was the issue with the Rockets. On the like 2 seasons ago, it was the issue with the Rockets even more last season when they lost Trevor Ariza and someone else, I can't remember who were. I guess they're 2 dirty defensive players. And like to me, it seems that remains the issue going into next season, unless they make some moves or pick up some other players before the season starts.
Yeah, I think they're still like one of those teams that, depending on luck, they could probably make the second round. But I don't think they'll make the second round. I think the West is too stacked with other better teams around. I think the Lakers have a better team. Clippers have a better team. The Utah Jazz, Denver Nuggets. There are a lot of these more balanced teams with better depth. So yeah, I think that they'll still be next. I'll be excited to see what happens and how the 2 duos go. Like how these duos will fare out. I think we'll get into more depth into how the other where does this duo stand as opposed to all the other duos in the NBA. It's like exciting times. I think this was one of the great. I mean, I've been following the NBA for a very short period, but this has got to be, speaking with a lot of people who've been following the NBA for a long, long time, this has got to be one of the most exciting off seasons. Would you agree?
In terms of the number of big name free agents that have moved around, I think that is probably true. But I think also that we'll see when the dust settles, like what put it this way, at the end of this upcoming season, I think it's going to be like very clear, like where someone has made the wrong move.
Yes, yeah. It's always, you won't know till like you run it, right? You run the team and you see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, but let's just move on to football now, man. I think we did this for now, and we'll bring it up during the preseason, the NBA over and under episode. That'll be exciting. But all right, on to football. The league finally completed his transfer, £67.5 million on a €7.5 million a year contract. He has a 150 million release clause. So, have you been watching any of the friendlies on any of the ICC? There's been a lot of football on SBS.
I've been seeing. I saw Juventus only played 2 games so far, right? I saw the first one they played against. I mean, I saw the highlights of the first one they played against. Was it Spurs? I can't remember. But anyway, I know that Ligt made a mistake in that one, and in the second game he made a mistake again.
Yes.
So yeah, but look, I mean, preseason, what is preseason for primarily? Preseason primarily is for fitness. So I don't put a lot of weight into preseason results.
Yeah. No, but like you get a little. I think you're like I think preseason you get a good glimpse of youngsters. You get a good glimpse of like what these youngsters who have been touted in the news and by pundits. You get to see them. How do they fit in a team, and you can see like talent wise. Do you think this guy's going to make it or not going to make it? I think preseason is a good barometer because I love watching preseason because you see like. You just see a lot of like cool like young players that you hear about, and for me I'm like a big fan, right? So like I really wanted to see Mason Greenwood get more minutes, and I see Mason Greenwood there playing for United, and I think he's a really exciting player, stuff like that, and I just think it's good to watch. I think that this Juventus move for me like it's quite interesting, right? Because like if you look at Juventus like centre back pairing. They're like what Bonucci, Chiellini. I think Rugani is a pretty good player, and now the Ligt. Like, so I just basically want to bring up: do you think that central defense talent is the best in Europe?
I don't know if it's the best central defensive pairing in Europe.
Talent. I think the defensive talent stockpile. Or like squad.
What, just among centre backs or amongst the defense?
In the centre back department, because I had a little think about it. I was like, I think they have the best 4-man rotation. Yeah, the best 4-man rotation in the world.
For centre backs, for just the two centre backs.
Rugani is obviously the weakest link, but I think they have the best 4-man centre back. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, probably, but I think that's more to do with. I mean, like, yeah, probably, because if there's one position in the world where there's a lack of truly world-class options.
Yeah.
Centre back has been that position for many, many years. But then again, I don't think that most clubs rotate their centre backs anyway.
Yeah.
So
United does. Fuck tons.
Yeah, because United concede goals every game. So so yeah, like bad teams do, because they have to find a solution. Good teams that don't concede goals are not going to say, all right, the two of you are playing this match and the two of you are playing the other match.
Don't you think like we've exhausted every combination, and yet we try to go again? You only have 4, right? So how many combinations can you really get?
I mean, without moving too much into United at this point, I think last season in particular was there was a lot of injuries at the centre back position, coupled with sheer defensive incompetence, but and also the fact that there was a new manager halfway through the season. But yeah, like I said, like good teams who don't concede goals don't rotate this, and they're not going to be like, all right, you two guys are playing this week, you two guys are playing next week, another combination is playing the week after, another combination is playing the week after. At the very least, you have one guy, right, who is a constant in and out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so on the one hand, like, they probably have the, in terms of central defensive talent, they probably got, have the most depth. But then again, like, to me, it's like, is that really? Well, what does that really mean? Like, what does that really mean? It doesn't really mean anything in my mind.
Yeah. And I think Sarri walked in I mean, you could say on paper a very good situation, but like from watching their preseason, I think the preseason performances so far, I think Juventus, I mean, they look really strong on paper, right? And so I think there's still some potential issues for the team. if you really watch them. But I mean, like we'll get into this once the Champions League preview comes up. But yeah, I think
yeah. Well, I said, like, for me personally, I don't put a lot of weight into preseason. I said preseason for me is primarily for fitness, and especially when they have a new manager, like they're trying to work out tactics. So tactics and position. So mistakes are bound to happen. Players, especially new players, they're trying to form a bond with their teammates.
Like try to break into the team.
Yeah, get the chemistry right. Get the understanding. Like, all right, if I step up, are you going to step up as well? Or like, how early do I step up? How early do I step back? Like when we pass off, like at what point do we pass off? Like maybe I pass off earlier at Ajax because my central defensive partner prefers prefers it that, like, so there's all this sort of things. So like for me, preseason is like,
I know, like,
really a great barometer.
Yeah. All right, I think let's move on to the Barcelona Griezmann move. So Barcelona activated the 120 million euro release clause, which was active after a certain date. I think July 1st or something. Before July 1st, it was actually 200 million euros. So it went through. Griezmann played for them twice already. Once against Chelsea and once against another team. I watched the both games, but nothing really like special so far. But the big news of this news piece is that the Atletico have been complaining about the way Barcelona conducted this transfer, because apparently they want the full 200 million euros of the original release clause, because apparently there was an agreement made between Barcelona and Griezmann during March, in the midst of the second half of the season. Like this was when Atletico were playing Juventus. This is right before. This was during that period when Juventus and Atletico were still playing each other in the Champions League quarterfinals, and like I think the La Liga president came out and said, yeah, we might have to put Griezmann back, or So the reason why I put this news piece in is I want to ask you: do you think, Justin, whether Atletico have any legal grounds to, pursue this type of this case? You reckon?
I mean, I have no idea. The only people that will know will be the people involved in the deal, and
but I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong, right? If they made, like, for example, a verbal agreement. This is like stuff that, like, we talked before in the last episode. These are things that are hard to, police.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what the rules are. And the rules between the NBA and La Liga, completely different sport, completely different federations, completely different rule set.
Yeah.
Right. So, put it this way. To answer your question, the best that I can, based on my knowledge, if there is legal grounds, right, I'm sure 100% that Atletico Madrid will pursue it. Full stop.
Yeah. Because they were saying that they signed an agreement or something. So I think it'll be interesting. I think if Atletico have legal grounds and they do it, I think they should have the right. It would be good to see. It would be good to see, because apparently, a lot of Spanish teams do this. Apparently it's a Spanish team thing. Like Madrid and Barcelona, especially Barcelona, they love to tap up their players like a season before or something. And Real Madrid as well. So I think it would be good, like, for these teams to, like, finally the federations finally clamp down on this. And after that Griezmann transfer, it turns out, like, apparently Barcelona are tight on funds and they can't buy Neymar anymore. So
I don't think that's surprising.
100%. Yeah. I think this is that new Barcelona team with Griezmann. I think we'll talk about it more then, I guess. But how do you think Neymar has been conducting himself? Do you think he's been What do you think of Neymar? Like the way he's conducting himself, or like, so do you think he has basically forced PSG's hand to sell him?
I think Neymar is in a position where PSG will sell him,
Mm-hmm.
but they will want to be appropriately compensated.
Oh,
And
dude, they
if
want.
there is an option such that there's a club that comes in and appropriately compensates, then they will let him go. No harm, no foul. But I think the
Yeah,
problem is that there is no team that can or will
yeah, because they
come in
have to
for him.
break the FFP rules, like how they broke the FFP rules to bring Neymar over. They
No,
want.
I mean, it's just a matter of like if there's a club out there with the money to do it, and the fact of the matter
Yeah,
is that right now there probably isn't. Right now,
yeah, right now, because Barcelona, um, no, sorry, PSG are now like their owner is trying to implement a new culture in the team. They're trying to like not form the Galacticos anymore. They have like let go of a lot of the more superstar names like Dani Alves, Adrian Rabiot, Buffon, Lo Celso, and they've signed more like more like they you call it more industrious players, right? Like industrial hardworking players such as Ander Herrera. They got Sarabia, who used to play for Real Madrid. They got him from Sevilla, and like Diallo, I don't know who that is, but apparently the president came out and said he's trying to dismantle the star culture, and he got like a new director of football to change the whole kind
who
of
is the old director of football?
yeah, who's the old director of football. They replaced him with someone else, and that was the guy who got Neymar and all
Yeah,
these
well,
other like
I think my understanding of Leonardo when he came in was not that the club was not looking to build the Galacticos or they weren't going to buy big players or whatever, but I think it was more around like we want players who will essentially like commit to the club and play for the
yeah.
club. And the thing about this sort of thing is that it always happens when a club gets taken over by like some billionaire rich owner and they just go around splashing money, right? Like in the end, what you get is you get you get the quote unquote mercenaries, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't care about the club, they don't care about anything. They just come, they make
Have
their
fun.
money,
Yeah, they come to have like
and they leave pretty soon after that because they have no commitment towards the club. If things go bad, right? Like they're one of the first ones to like want to leave or
jump ship.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like Neymar, the idea behind the Neymar signing, I remember at the time, was like this is going to be our landmark signing, and this is
Yeah.
going to be the guy that will buy into a project and will sell us for the rest of you know
The next
the
5 years.
no, not for the next 5 years, but will sell us as we're a real club to come, we're a real club to come to if you want to achieve.
Yeah.
We're one of the elite clubs, right?
You would
Like very
draw
similar
for
to very similar to like for example like Man City, right? When Man City first got taken over, right? Like their star signing, or one of the first signings was one of the newer signings was Robinho. Robinho, I think, is the biggest was the biggest name. But
32.5 million. I remember 32.5 million from Real
yeah,
Madrid or 30
like
million.
yeah. Well, but today it seems like not like nothing, right? But at the time, it was a lot of money. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, you get a lot of mercenaries at club. Like what they had Edin Dzeko. They signed Edin Dzeko as well. There was a lot. I remember I saw a list just a couple of weeks ago around the
Adam
signings that there were a
Johnson,
lot of
Gareth
there were a lot of big
Bale,
names that they signed.
James Milner.
I don't know
They
what James
signed, yeah,
Milner.
this Dzeko, Zabaleta. Who else? Like, there's so many. What was that? Was it Kolarov? I still remember. This was the old City team. This is the remnants.
This no, this is
McKaven.
even like before Kolarov and all that. So like
Oh, okay.
it's because
And
like
Boyson, Bayern
what the Sheikh
Munich.
wanted to do was to say like, look, like we need a big signing to announce ourselves to the world, like
Yeah.
like, and the problem in the early years when you do that, right, is that there's no motivation for anyone to want to join your club except for money. That's the only motivation. right?
Yeah, and no,
And
so
so
like you sign a player and pay them that much, the next star is gonna like the next star who's like of the same type of quality level would demand the same, right?
I mean, but
set
that
like a
doesn't
bad
matter because these clubs have a lot of money anyway. But what matters is that these players that you sign, they don't care about the club. They're just there to make their money.
Yeah.
And if things go wrong, if things go bad, they're just gonna kick up a fuss, and they know that they can leave, which is exactly what happened to Rubinho. Exactly what happened with Mario Balotelli. Yeah, that's another one. And this is exactly what has happened with PSG. The difference between the Man City one and so for Man City, sorry, just continuing the thread. For Man City, the things started changing when they bought Vincent Kompany. I think Vincent Kompany was really the one that really sort of started to change
the culture a little bit.
Vincent Kompany, when at the time he was signed, he wasn't like a superstar.
But I think it's this, right? I think every team, sometimes you do need a star. It just depends on like how many stars you have. Like if you think about, look at like Man City. Man City had like last season. Let's just talk about the full squad of last season. They had a good combination of stars and players who are more committed to the club, and that you could be in the form of like what Vincent Kompany, the keeper Edison. Then you got your crazy ass superstars, like not crazy ass superstars, but like the ones who get paid the big bucks are like.
But I'm not saying that you shouldn't sign superstars. I'm just saying that if you're a club that there's nothing, right? And yeah, I know like PSG, they have a bit of history behind them in the French league and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that they weren't really a destination before they got bought, right?
Yeah.
But if you're from a club that's nothing, and all of a sudden you have these rich owners, right? There will be this period where, you get these superstars, but these superstars, like, they're mercenaries, right? They don't care about the club. If things go wrong, they're not going to stick around for you, right?
Yeah.
And so the difference between the Man City thing and the PSG and what... So PSG went through that. Right?
Yeah.
PSG went through that. They brought... They bought Cavani, who's still there, by the way. They splashed a lot of money on Ezequiel Lavezzi at the time.
Lavezzi. There's this other guy. He's one of the forward line as well. I forgot the name. Okay, never mind. Just keep going.
They had Zlatan. They had Zlatan. They had David Luiz. These are big names. These are names that other players want to play with. Some people might say Lavezzi now. It's like what hell? But at the time that they bought Lavezzi, Lavezzi was one of the top attackers in the world.
Yeah.
But regardless, right? The thing is that the contrast that I'm making though is that I'm quite surprised that this period of time that's taken for PSG seems to be a bit longer than the period of time it took for Man City to get. I mean, they seem to have some committed players, like Cavani. I think is one of those players who was brought in as a mercenary, who was brought in but who's become someone who I think quite loves the club.
Yeah, he's like if you think about it, right? If I were to ask you who you think has been the consistent, who you think is the brand of PSG over the last 5 years, right? You have to look at it from the last 5 years. Who's been there? Who's been constantly performing for them in the last 5 years? Oh, actually, you could say maybe Thiago Silva, Marquinhos.
Yep,
and
Thiago Silva,
Cavani.
Possibly.
Yeah,
I would say actually the player that really epitomized PSG actually was a player that they sold, and that was Blaise Matuidi. I think that things possibly started to go wrong at that point when they sold Matuidi.
So you could say he's an important player, but the brand, the face of that team, that it's Silva. He's the captain. He's been there. He was like one of the first few signings. He was one of the first signings actually when the Qatar, is it the Qatar? No, not the Qatar family. The Abu Dhabi group that bought PSG.
Yeah, but I think the fact that Matuidi was with the club already the fact that he's French, the fact that he grew up, born in Paris. He's like the heart and soul of the team. I think there was a lot of fan affection for him. And I think maybe at the time that he was sold, a lot of fans were upset that he was sold. And I think that was done under the new director of football, if I'm not wrong.
The one before Leonardo.
And so I think that, it's sort of funny because they sort of went towards this idea of like, if we get Neymar, he'll be the guy to bring us into the new generation. He'll be the guy to make PSG like really really like a premier, like, tier, like super tier like top tier class, top tier team.
They never really.
Neymar, to be fair, I think it was a bit of a problem for him, like him as well, in terms of like I think he doesn't really have that idea to do it. Like he himself doesn't want to be a PSG legend, put it that way. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit spoiled. I think he's a bit, he's one, like you see a girl, right? And like she's hot, right? But then like, those like really hot girls who know they're hot.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you just sort of like.
As hard.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's Neymar.
Okay. But for me, watching like Neymar, because I mean like the only time I watch him really is when during the Champions League, and I thought this year he kind of took a step up in the Champions League. This year, especially that game, I remember really clearly when I remember Liverpool beat PSG in the first game of the group stage, and then when it came to the second game of the group stage, Neymar destroyed Liverpool fullbacks.
Yeah.
And so it's in him. It's in him to beat the very best. But in all honesty, I actually feel bad for Neymar because Neymar gets kicked a lot. Like he gets a lot of injuries by people targeting him. Maybe it's the way he plays. He incensed defenders, or maybe that's just one of the tactics to contain him. But you see a lot of other very good players who get kicked, right? But they don't get injured. But Neymar gets injured all the time. Right before the Copa America, he got injured. And then obviously after Brazil won, a lot of people made the argument, Brazil plays better without Neymar and everything. So I think it's very tough on him.
I think the thing about Neymar getting kicked, though, sorry, I'll let you finish your point, but I just want to quickly say, I think the thing about Neymar is that I think he brings it upon himself. Like,
yeah,
you're telling me that Ronaldo doesn't get kicked? You're telling me that Messi doesn't get kicked? They all get kicked.
If you watch the way they get kicked, right? It's very different. Neymar gets
the difference is because Neymar brings it upon himself because he dives all the time.
Yeah,
he brings it upon himself. Like, like Messi gets kicked, Ronaldo gets kicked, but the way that like they don't dive and all that sort of shit that pisses people off, right? Mm. Like, I think he brings it upon himself in all honesty, because if there's like, I don't think anyone can say that, oh yeah, Neymar gets kicked but Ronaldo doesn't get kicked, Messi doesn't get kicked. That's bullshit. Maybe Neymar gets kicked a bit harder. Maybe defense going harder. Maybe, yes. But if they do, it's because Neymar is a little bitch, right? Like, he rolls around on the ground like 100 times after a soft foul. Like, he brings it upon himself. But anyway, sorry. Finish your point.
Yeah, no. I think I'm not trying to defend Neymar. Like, I think Neymar, like I said, brings it upon himself. He incensed players. There's so many videos of him, like, like rubbing, like, when he joined the French league. I remember very clearly during the first season, every week you get videos of him, like, belittling his opponents or like disrespecting them. So you know what I mean. Sometimes I think he brings it upon himself. So. Yeah. I just find it very, like, what a waste, this guy Neymar, like, At first, like I remember before he moved from, is it Flamengo? Is it Corinthians? It was Flamengo. I just thought Corinthians. It was the white kid.
Yep.
I remember when he moved in, I was like, nah, these type of players, I find it's very hard for these guys to make it to the very, very top. So the first few seasons, I remember there was one season where they played against, when they were playing against United, they still beat us, but Neymar was very unimpressive. And then, like, as years went on and on, especially that year when Barcelona came back from that 6-1 defeat, no, the 4-1 defeat and 1-6-1 in Paris, I think like that you started seeing that Neymar was like taking a step into the next level. And right now, I would say I think he's up there. He's in the top 10 best players, without a doubt. So, I mean, it'll be very interesting.
Probably top 5. Yeah. But the thing is, like, for me, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about like his performances or whatever. In fact, I think for PSG, you cannot doubt his performances. Like, he's put in performances. That's 100% for sure, right? I think it's more around the lines of like I said, like he's the hot girl, right? That knows she's hot, right? I mean, come on, man. You see the things he does on the pitch, like, and you see the things that, like, all the diving, all the bitching, like at the time, like that video where he punched the fan.
Yeah. Like
this is not someone that. Like, I don't know, man. It's just like, put it this way: you never see Messi do that. You never see Ronaldo do that. And I think I start to question like his mentality to the one thing you hear about Ronaldo and Messi constantly, right, from everyone, fans or haters alike.
Hardworking.
Right? Yes, hardworking. Like they are the best. They know they're the best, but they still work really hard. They still try a lot in training, right? You don't hear this about Neymar, man.
Yeah, no. I think Neymar, like, there's two players which I hear, they always want special treatment, and that's Neymar and Pogba. I'm not saying Pogba doesn't train as hard. Obviously, Neymar gets it more, I feel, because they were saying like Neymar, for example, during his time as PSG, he gets helicopter to fly him from his place to training or something like that, something ridiculous like that. So,
and the thing is, like, he expects it as well because I'm the best player here.
Yeah, like I came to Paris for this royal treatment.
Yeah, I'm the best here. Like like when Neymar first came, it was Cavani. Who would take the penalty? Would it be Cavani or Neymar?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And they had an argument. They had an argument on the pitch over who would take the pen.
And dude, he had to get his fucking bodyguard Danny Alves to take the ball away from Cavani, give it to Neymar. Yeah. So no, for me it's like this. I think Marcelo, there's something there. For me, I just think
I can't hear anything you're saying. Like
Marcelo is like, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I know, like,
I can't hear anything you're saying. Do you move somewhere or something? Or you're sitting on the mic or something, like it's muffled and it's cutting out at the same time?
What about now?
Now
I think Neymar, like Marcelo has always been very protective of Neymar. Like that, like the fullbacks, both of them, like these experienced Brazilian players, always protect Neymar. So I think there's something to him. I think maybe because he got famous at a young age. I know, like, I'm not trying to bring up this like to defend his like attitude or anything, but like he reminds me of fucking Justin Bieber. He's like super fucking talented, but the fact that he had expectations on him ever since he was fucking 12 years old. Maybe that like that's the why he acts the way he acts. And it doesn't really
but I feel like this attitude that he has really holds him back. Like now we're talking about Neymar being a top 5 player in the world or whatever, right? But the fact of the matter is that for all the hype that he got, and for all the good that he's done, for all the great games he's played for Barcelona, for Brazil, and for PSG, he was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be the guy that would win the Ballon d'Or, that would break the Messi and Ronaldo Ballon d'Or winning streak. He was supposed to be the guy.
When Stick Van Dijk is gonna win it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, he probably will never win it because the golden boy is not even him anymore. The golden boy now at PSG is Mbappe.
Yes, I think this. I think he it's pretty certain he wants to leave. I think PSG are open to selling him, looking for someone by.
He wants to leave. He said he wants to leave.
Yes, I think. Boom, Real Madrid. Real Madrid gonna pick him up.
I think Real Madrid can only pick him up if they sell. As far as I know, there's no club in the world right now that can afford him right now.
I think no.
There's not one club in the world that can afford him right now.
United can afford him. They can afford him.
No, can't.
If we sell Pogba for 100+ mil,
that's what I said. There's no club in the world that can afford him right now.
Yes, but I foresee him leaving, maybe on a loan, then buy, or in fucking long-term installments or something. But
Neymar will not leave on a loan.
No, loan then buy. Sometimes they have to process transfer that way. Like for example, James, right? Okay, fine, it won't happen. But I personally see him going back to Spain. I don't see him going to.
He will only go. I think that he will only go to Barcelona, or rather, there's only really one destination for him, and that's Barcelona. And I feel that because of two things. One, he himself has a desire to go back to Barcelona. Two, Barcelona want him back. I actually think there's not many clubs actually that really want him, which is quite surprising to say actually. But I don't think Man City want him. I don't think
Guardiola is probably tired of these players. That's why he's saying he's willing to let someone like a real talented player like Leroy Sané go. It's it's okay. Don't need him.
Yeah, because Neymar brings so much baggage and his conduct is I don't think many clubs want him. If you tell me United are in pole position to sign Neymar tomorrow, I'll be like, man, I hope that deal doesn't go through because I don't want Neymar.
You know what? I wouldn't mind. Because I seriously think certain something like you said just now about for example.
Can't hear you again. Can't hear you at all. Can't hear you again. Still. I don't know if you're saying anything right now, but I can't hear you.
I don't think. Can you not hear me now? I didn't move. I'm sitting in the same spot.
Hello? It's alternating between can't hear you at all, or you're becoming like a robot. The connection is breaking. Okay.
Anyways, let's just finish up then. It's almost 1 hour already. Anyways, so let's just finish up. Yeah, okay. I think it'll be interesting to see where Neymar goes.
I think that he won't go anywhere during this window because I don't think that for him to leave, a club is going to have to sell. They're going to have to make what, at least 100 million worth of they're going to sell at least 100 million worth of player. And I don't think right now off the top of my head who can do it.
We're going to sell Lukaku for 75 and we're going to sell Pogba for 100, 120, 100.
United won't sell Pogba for first of all, United won't sell Pogba for less than 150. Second of all, you can sell Lukaku for 65, 75, whatever, but that money is going to Maguire. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not talk. We save United for another time. I think the last piece, this is just a quick last fucking funny piece. Oh no, actually, I was quickly touch on I'm just basically raising up the news. Everyone, don't sleep on the La Liga teams next year. The La Liga team spending in total has surpassed 1 billion euros. But I mean, like at the end of the day, we just need to focus on the top three teams, and that's Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico. I think like Barcelona, there's not really much changes except Griezmann, and there's like all those like
massive
legal
change,
stuff.
I think.
There's massive change. Yeah, okay, maybe. Like for me, I think there's bigger changes in Real Madrid and Atletico. Personally,
so too.
Yeah, Real Madrid got like a whole like rebrand, like new stars coming in, but their preseason didn't really go too well. Mendy is already injured. Jovic is also injured. You got Gareth Bale there laughing at your team, laughing at his own team getting
that pose is so bullshit, man. Like seriously, I was really unimpressed when I saw that. Not at him, but at that sort of like clickbait bullshit title, man.
Never know, man. But apparently things are not good between Bale and Zidane.
No, I mean everyone knows. Everyone knows that things are not good between Bale and Zidane. Everyone knows that things are not good between Bale and Madrid. But just to take one picture of him smiling on the pitch and say that, oh, like this is a picture of him laughing at Zidane after Real Madrid 5-0 down. Like,
no, there was 7-1 down.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever. Okay, anyways.
Whatever. Like, come on, man. Like that picture is first of all, like, is it actually taken at that time? Second of all, is it actually who he's looking at? Third of all, is he actually laughing? At the very least, right? If you want to make that claim, that's fine. Show a video, man. Don't put a picture. The picture could be anything.
Okay? Who gives a fuck? Because at the end of the day, he's going to leave to China to get paid $1 million a week. So who cares about Bale? Bale's irrelevant, okay? Asensio is also surprised
I'm really surprised that if he does go to China, that he'll go to China. I'm really surprised.
Dude, I'm actually so fucking surprised as well. But
because I thought that Bale is still young, and he can still make a difference to the team. I know that there's a bit of... Yeah, he can still make a difference to the team. In fact, he's still good enough to operate at the highest level.
Okay, if you remember when you told me that United were going to get him, and I was like, please, I pray to God he doesn't.
So that there are rumors that United are in for him, but now those rumors have become different rumors.
Yeah, I think the good thing about like following United's rumors this year, it's been very consistent. It's been consistently the same people. But okay, let's not get too much of that. Let's just talk about the Atletico. A lot of people not been noticing, but Atletico got rid of their old guard. Godin is gone. Who else? They got rid of Griezmann. You know, there are a lot of changes, but Atletico, I think they sold 300 million euros worth of players, but they spent 250 million of that and 100 million of that on one player, and that's João Felix. I watched him play. Pretty impressive so far, but it's preseason, like you said. But yeah, I think people better watch out for Atletico next year. I think they'll be much closer to the pack. They'll be much closer to Barcelona, not the pack, because last year Barcelona ran away with it easy. But I think they'll be on the heels of Barcelona next year. Personally, I think they'll perform better than Real Madrid in the league. I know this is a big statement, but this is a big call. But I'll say it right here. I think Atletico are going to perform better than Real Madrid in the league next year. Yeah, I think it'll be exciting. We'll touch on this more when the Champions League group stages are announced. And I think the last topic has to be a very funny topic. Have you been following Arsenal's off-season?
Yeah, they just signed Nicolas Pepe for 80 mil.
Remember the time when they said Arsenal only had a transfer budget of 45 million?
I wouldn't be surprised, actually.
They said they had that. They had a transfer budget of 45 million at the start of the transfer window. Then 2 weeks later, the son of the owner, Stan Kroenke's son, I don't know what's the son's name, suddenly announced that, the club suddenly has more money, and now they're on the brink of having potentially a very awesome off-season. So they've signed Saliba for 27 million, loaned him back, and they've loaned Cabellos from Real Madrid. It's a defensive midfielder. And now apparently they might try to sign Tierney from Celtic again if they offer more money, and Zaha. And like you said, they just agreed for
Zaha won't happen. Now that the Pepe's deal's done, Zaha won't happen.
Yeah. But I think they've made personally. I think they've why are they signing attackers? I think they have a lot of decent attackers, but they have a lot of shit defenders and midfielders.
I mean, I think that for Arsenal, they need to make signings, and they're under. I agree with you in that their issue is in defense, and especially with what was happening with Koscielny. Um, so yeah, their defense is a big like. The funny thing about Arsenal is that you see the preseason, you see the starting lineup, and you recognize like four names on there.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like I think the guy that scored the most goals like what their academy kid and is it Nketiah, something like that.
Yeah, and the forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think you're right. You know, their signings need to be in defense.
Yeah.
They've been in for Kieran Tierney for pretty much ever since the window opened.
Yeah.
This I think the big thing is that this Pepe move. So Nicolas Pepe, right, has been rumored to be leaving for the entire window.
Yeah, the entire window. They're like
and he's been linked to many clubs. United were in for him. That's for a fact. United were in for him. Bayern Munich were in for him. Napoli, obviously, they got an offer accepted in the end, but didn't. But the player didn't choose Napoli. And there were even rumors at some point, that it was like Madrid were in for him, Barcelona were in for him. That in the end, he's gone to Arsenal, which is pretty surprising. It probably means that the other clubs did not put a bid for him.
No. Apparently, the 4 clubs bids were accepted, and it was like what Napoli, Arsenal. Apparently, I don't know what Liverpool, but there were 2 other clubs.
It's definitely
there were 2 other clubs.
Put this way,
2 other clubs.
Those 2 other clubs are not as good as. I mean, they're not significant clubs in the grand scheme of things. Because let's say the 2 other clubs are Barcelona and Madrid. He's not going to choose to go to Arsenal.
You never know, man. I look at this like I'm definitely making Arsenal. I definitely won't make Barcelona's front 3. I definitely won't make Real Madrid's front 3. So I think it's Arsenal.
But what it wasn't Barcelona Madrid.
Okay, but whatever the case, I just found it funny how they started the season. Oh, we only have 45 million to spend. Let's offer 20 million for Zaha after fucking.
But who said they only have 45 million to spend though? It's just some guy reporting on SoccerNet or something.
No. It was at the start of the season. Someone from the Arsenal came out and said. Then the Suns reposted saying, "Oh, we have more money now." I was following it. And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I was like, because after when I read that piece of news, they only have 45 million to spend, and they offered 20 million for fucking Zaha, or 40 million for Zaha.
I know they offered 20 something million for Zaha.
Yeah, I was like, you guys must be having a laugh, because in my head I was like, oh fuck, Chelsea has a transfer ban, Arsenal have 45 million to spend. I think we are shooing for top 4, and now they actually have money to spend. But yet, so far, who they've signed so far, I've not been that impressed with. So
I don't think United are shooing for top 4, by the way.
I don't think they are now, because now Arsenal have more money and Tottenham actually been spending money. So it's very different, right? Because if you think about at the start of the transfer window, if I told you Arsenal only had 45 million, Chelsea had a transfer ban, and Tottenham are going to be cheap as chips and not spend on anyone again, and they have let Kieran Trippier go. Would you think Manchester United would be a shoe-in, or like a strong favorite to make the top 4?
I mean, no, because
okay, fine. You don't have
the teams at the end of the season are the same as the the teams at the start of the window are the same as the teams that finished the end of the season, and at the end of the season, United finished 6th.
Okay, well, I'm more confident. I think we're spending money now as well. I think Bruno Fernandes I think that's a very strong possibility. I think Maguire, like I know me and you have been talking about the Maguire thing. I think yes, eventually they'll get it done, but I wouldn't be mad if it doesn't go through. Honestly,
Maguire is already done.
What do you mean it's already done? Brendan Rodgers
the deal is already done. Like unless he fails the medical, right? It's already in place. The deal is already in place.
Fucking Brendan Rodgers came out and said Maguire is no closer to the exit. Or is that all just like fucking like just gaslighting, just putting doubt
All
in?
right, you know that you know my feelings on Maguire, right? You know I'm not the biggest fan of Maguire. I don't think United should be spending 80 mil on Maguire, right? But I tell you, the deal is already done.
Why? I asked you why. You just said, just wait, man. Just wait.
Put it this way, like, if Maguire doesn't happen, I'll give you $100. If Maguire happens, you give me $100.
No, I'm not gonna make the bet. But what makes you say so?
I just for this particular deal.
You're just saying it's gonna happen from like
for this particular deal in Maguire. For this particular deal in Maguire, it's already done.
Okay, maybe I don't know. We can talk about United next episode. We talk about United next episode, man. Like,
no, we can talk about it now. Like, because
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. All right.
I think United. There's, the Bruno Fernandes rumor is a very strong rumor. My understanding of it is that, if it happens, it'll happen in the last week of the window. If it happens. The thing is that in the recent weeks, right? There's been,
in the last, right?
Yeah. So it's the first week of August.
Last week and a half. So okay, you had Bruno Fernandes, and also have you had the SMS rumor, the Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, the guy who were linked with last year?
So there's three players, right? So United so it's essentially it's the midfield, right?
Yeah.
Or rather, there are four players that are the fates of those four players are all dependent upon one another.
Yeah.
Those players I'm talking about is Milinkovic-Savic.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
Paulo Dybala. I know who's now a midfielder.
Yeah.
And
Sean Longstaff.
No. Sean Longstaff is out of the picture.
Okay.
Because he costs too much.
Yeah.
And United are not going to pay that amount of money.
Okay.
And Christian Eriksen.
They're not going to pay that amount of money for. They're not going to pay that amount of money for someone who's played 13 games for a team that just scraped relegation.
Yeah. And the idea for Sean Longstaff anyway is that he wouldn't come into the first team anyway, so they can afford to wait. So yeah, the four players whose futures all depend on one another is Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, Bruno Fernandes, Paulo Dybala, and Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, but I think the Christian Eriksen one is the weakest of all. I think let's just go like I think the Paulo Dybala one is dependent on Paul Pogba. No, we're not just gonna buy him outright. Oh no, it was no, I know which rumor you're talking about. It's the one where we'll trade Lukaku for Dybala and some cash, right?
It's something that Juventus has proposed, but
yeah,
I think. But first of all, United don't want to trade Dybala plus cash because they want the money. They want the money to do the Maguire deal and also to give them some leeway into doing the either Bruno Fernandes or Milinkovic-Savic deal. It's one or the other for those two. The Christian Eriksen deal is very interesting in the sense that it's something that was rumored early in the window.
Yeah, and then died down.
And now there's just little
murmurs in the market.
Yeah. And how that impacts other things is that it's because Spurs are looking to get Gareth Bale back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why these things all about like Bale's going to China and all that sort of stuff, right? I find that very surprising. Because I don't think that it's being reported a lot. I don't think that and to be honest, for this particular, Bale going to China, I don't know. I don't have any inside info on that, but I'm very surprised by that because I think that my understanding is that.
Yeah, apparently it's very close. They even gave the Chinese team name as well.
Yeah, it's Jiangsu Suning. But I'm very surprised by that because my understanding is that he like Spurs want him. He's keen on Spurs, but Spurs need to raise the money. And to raise the money, they have to sell Christian Eriksen. And that discussion is all ongoing between United and Spurs. And my understanding as well is that Eriksen has actually agreed personal terms to United already. It's just a matter of
news, man. Either you have some insider knowledge in United or something, because I don't see any like news of this. The news that I've been finding, like the strong ones that have been consistently reported, Bruno Fernandes, and the SMS one out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, 2 days, and it becomes like, oh yeah, like we consider bids for SMS. Oh, Lazio boss states that he's prepared to let SMS leave. So I'm like,
no, like Milinkovic-Savic, yeah, Milinkovic has been rumored for a while as well. But that's the thing, right? It's because, like I said, I'll say it again, right? The futures of these, like whether United go for this, like who ends up at United, right? Because one of these players will end up at United. But which one, right, depends on the other. Because right now there's a list, and there's a priority list: 1, 2, 3. Right? Like if they don't get number 1, they'll go for number 2. If they don't get number 2, they go for number 3. Right? My understanding is that number 1 on that list is Christian Eriksen. Number 2 is Fernandes. Number 2 is Bruno Fernandes, and number 3 is Sergei Milinkovic-Savic.
Okay, maybe
so, So the Eriksen deal is something that people want. Is the one that's the most quiet in the media. But the reason for that, the reason that is a deal that could happen is because Spurs are very keen on Gareth Bale. That's what I said. Like in the past couple of days, there's this news coming out about Bale going to China. So that means one of two things. It means either A, Spurs have given up, or B, right, is bullshit. So it remains to be seen. Because if it really is true, right, that he goes, it means that Eriksen will not come. That means that United will go in hard for Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, fuck it.
Bruno Fernandes is number 2.
I personally, it's just this, man. I think if United snaps out, let's just make it simple. We snap out Bruno Fernandes, fuck it, we get like Maguire. I don't care if we do. I actually personally want to keep Lukaku, but if they sell it, I guess Martial will get a more streamlined halfway to the first team, which I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing, but okay. And yeah, I mean,
the reason that Lukaku is being sold is not because of anything other than the fact that
he doesn't fit the system.
He himself
wants to go, and he doesn't fit in the system.
Yeah, because he won't be first choice.
Yeah, he won't be first choice. Yeah, because he's not the pacey player like Rashford or Martial. You know, it's a very different type of player.
Yeah, because like Solskjaer wants him to stay, but he himself wants to leave. So it's like fair enough.
Okay, yeah, I mean, okay, we get it. We get that 75. Push it to Maguire. Fuck, you know what? Fuck it. I hope that Maguire thing doesn't go through. I hope we get Bruno Fernandes and we make a dip in the market for another midfielder.
If that happens, right, which I'm telling you it won't, but if that happens, right, I think if United sign Neymar, Bruno Fernandes, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, and Christian Eriksen, I think it'll be a failure of a window.
Because you say that the most important thing is another centre back.
I think a blind man can say that. The most important signing for United this window, right, is a defensive.
Okay, who's the only like? Obviously, you think we need to sign one centre back. Who's the other centre back to be with this guy? Who's the current centre back at United that's worthy of the mantle to play first team centre back for us?
It doesn't matter. It could be Lindelof. It could be Smalling. It could be just. I've told you this many times before. What United need, what most teams need, you need one really strong centre back. One. You need either your Ferdinand, or your Vidic, or your Gary Pallister, or your Steve Bruce. You know, you need one. The other guy next to you, right? He can be good. It doesn't have to be great. He can be good, and the defense will be strong. And the reason is because of that one guy. You know when like for Ferguson's last 2 seasons, the centre back pairing was not Ferdinand and Vidic. The centre back pairing was Ferdinand and Evans or Vidic and Evans.
Yeah,
and the reason for that is because they were always, one or the other was always injured. Right?
Yeah.
Like you only need one. It doesn't matter who plays. Like next to him, Smalling, Jones, Lindelof, they're all good enough. But you need one. And that's the person that we don't have. Like so that's the signing that needs to be made. I'm not saying that it's going to solve all your defensive problems, but I'm saying like if you like you said, right, when you look at the Arsenal squad, like what's the glaring they just need to play in this position. Like it's so obvious, right? I think for United it's the same. It's like the centre back position is the obvious one. It's so obvious.
Yeah. I mean, if you're an attacker, right, you look at Arsenal, right, the only player you won't attack is Kolasinac, right? Because that guy's a badass.
Kolasinac will attack you.
Yeah, Kolasinac will attack you, man. So but like everyone else, they're open for free season, man. Mustafi, that guy will score own goals, man. You're fine. Yeah. But yeah, so I think we're in a good spot. Man, we only got like 9 days, man. I just want like this.
There will be signings, and that signing will either be like Maguire's a definite, which is good because that should be number 1 on the list, so that's good. And then
Fernandes,
it'll be one of Fernandes, or Milinkovic-Savic, or Eriksen. So that's why I said, like when you read the Bale news, when you read any news about Bale, keep in mind that directly affects United.
Yeah. No, I like we've seen a profile, right? We've seen the good thing about Solskjaer's like his boring press conference, very monotonous, very like football manager kind of thing, but it's very consistent. The things he come out, it's very like. I find him very transparent. Very transparent.
I don't think he's that transparent. I think he says a lot of things. He says I think that he. What's the term I'm searching for? You know the term I'm searching for. Like
generic.
No, he speaks a lot, but doesn't say anything.
Yeah. Okay. Superfluous. Okay, superfluous, very extra. Like a lot of this, like cloudy talk. Like there's nothing within. It's just like cloud rapping, right? Like you just say a lot of words, but they don't mean shit.
Like his media training is very good. Like the media training he's been given is very good.
Yeah, but like it seems very consistent with the players that come out. Like, oh yeah, we want to press. Like Solskjaer comes out and say, oh we want to press higher, we want to be fitter. Boom. Players can't say, yeah, we're getting fitter, we're pressing higher. It seems very consistent. He doesn't speak in codes. You know what I mean? Maybe transparent is not the right word, but easy. I would say easy to read. I'm not saying like, for example, like the Lukaku news, right? He said like, yeah, Lukaku. We try to keep him here. Like the way he says it is not like, oh, we want to keep him here. It's like he's just saying the PR way of saying, yeah, don't want to unsettle anything. Yeah, he's a Manchester United player for now. Things might happen, like stuff like that. I mean, he doesn't like throw you curveballs or anything. It's just that he gives you enough indication for you to make, I think, a very educated guess on what they're going to do kind of thing. I find it's much easier to read than when Mourinho was there. Mourinho would be fucking sneak this thing one day. One day he would be saying, oh, he did a good job. It's like, fuck it. Like, I prefer it, like, the way Solskjaer is doing it. Like, even though he says nothing, like, you think he's saying nothing, I think he gives me enough indication to kind of, like, to kind of know what they're up to. And, for me, at the end of the day, I think for United, at the end of the day, we just have, by the end of this transfer window, you just want to see them hopefully sign 2 more players or 3, that's it.
I think a bad window will be if I think that one player will come, at least one, like, and but when I say one, I'm already including Maguire's coming in. So I think one more player will come in. But I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen. And like the only business done would be Dan James, Wan-Bissaka, and Harry Maguire. Obviously, I don't wish that I don't hope that happens, but I think it's possible. Man. So Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is a very interesting one because so Bruno Fernandes, right? What's happening was that Sporting Lisbon, who actually, did you know that Sporting Lisbon are not officially called Sporting Lisbon?
No.
Like Sporting Lisbon are actually, like the word Lisbon does not appear in the name, like officially.
Oh, this is called Sporting, right? Sporting CP.
Yeah, it is called Sporting Club de Portugal or some shit like that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sporting were trying to hold out for more money. United wouldn't budge. And if you want to read something interesting about this whole Bruno Fernandes saga, you should read up about his agent. Because I think the agent is playing a big part in what's happening with Bruno Fernandes. Basically, the agent is just some guy. He's like 29 years old or something, 30 years old or something, who has started a small agency, and he has in his agency has a handful of players, and they're all young Portuguese players. And Bruno Fernandes is by far and away, like not even close, like his biggest client by far. If this Bruno Fernandes transfer happens, right, it'll be the agent's biggest transfer, like by a million miles.
Yeah.
Right. And so the agent is trying to, on the one hand, is trying to push the transfer through as fast as possible because he wants to make a name for himself. But he's also trying to get as much money as possible for the club. But he's also really inexperienced.
Yeah.
And he's panicking a bit because the window is closing. He knows that United have alternatives. And he knows that Sporting don't want to. Sporting are in a position where they don't want to sell, but if they get the right bid, they'll sell.
Yeah, but like Bruno Fernandes stated, he wants to play in like England. So okay, yeah, you gave me that information, but like okay, at the end of the day, is this? I'm saying I'll keep it as fucking simple as possible. Looking at all the players, the list you gave me, right? I like Bruno Fernandes. I want Bruno Fernandes. That's like, to be fair, if we get Bruno Fernandes and don't get Harry Maguire, for me, I think that's still a decent thing. If we get Harry Maguire, yeah, sure.
If we don't get centre back, United will not finish top 4.
Huh?
If United don't get a centre back, United will not finish top 4.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Okay, that's your side. I think we will, but okay, whatever. We get Maguire, good. We get like you said, we get Bruno Fernandes and Maguire. I think that's a good window. I consider that a very good window. Yeah. So I think, shall we leave it as that? I think let's just prep. Let's prep for the big NBA episode next time. And
just for the record, I think that between Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, when I was thinking about it, I thought like I don't know who I would prefer.
Yeah.
But I think I lean towards Christian Eriksen like 51%.
I think you should lean towards him more on a talent basis. But for me, like I've watched Christian Eriksen ever since he first arrived, and for me, always I have a big I have a big thing against him being rated so highly. It's because I don't think he runs well with the ball. Like, I think he's very good at shooting and passing and so on. Yes, good delivery. But I think we have, like...
But Bruno Fernandes is not a runner as well.
No, but Bruno Fernandes is more... I mean, he doesn't run with the ball pretty, but he's more mobile. Bruno Fernandes is more, like, all-round, like, more action-packed kind of player. I've watched him play for Portugal, and I like that energy he has. Christian Eriksen is not a real high-energy player. You know what I mean? I think we have enough of this.
All right. I mean, that's fine.
Okay,
To be fair, I haven't
it.
seen Bruno Fernandes. I've seen him in a couple of games, but I'll tell you why. Christian, I lean to Christian Eriksen 51%.
What?
Then there's the main reason, the number one reason, is Premier League proven.
Yeah,
that's my number one reason.
That's why I say you should lean towards it more, but I prefer. Yeah, okay. But yes, continue.
No, that's it. Like the reason, because it's Premier League proven. So if he comes, it means he'll go in immediately. He knows what to expect in the Premier League. Like, he knows that there's no reason that he should be able to slot in and just perform. Like that's especially when it comes to these sort of like flair players sometimes.
Yeah.
They're coming from overseas to England. They take a while to adjust. Sometimes they never adjust. It's a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's more because he comes from like more of a second tier league compared to the Premier League, right? He's coming from fucking like a Portuguese league, which is like well known to be like a tier below, or maybe even 2 tiers below. So
maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, like especially like I think the historically it's always been like Premier League and Brazilian players, right?
Yes.
It's like Brazilian players can never, or rather, there's not a long list of successful Brazilian players in Premier League for whatever reason. When you see players like, for example, like Neymar, they go straight from Corinthians to Barcelona and they're immediate success, right? But let's say if Neymar went from Corinthians to, or was it Santos? Maybe it was Santos. Anyway, from Brazil to
no, dude, we were wrong. Neymar didn't come from Corinthians; he came from Santos.
Yeah, but anyway, if he went from Santos, let's say he went straight to Man City, right? Like, like it's always like South Americans and the Premier League, but and then these sort of flair players, like sometimes it takes a bit of time to adjust.
It's just hard. It's just like harder.
Yeah.
But okay. I mean, I'm happy if we get Bruno Fernandes. I really like. I like I like his style of playing. It's very simple but very like direct in a way. He doesn't like use skills or anything. He just literally like runs with the ball at you. Like if you watch the UEFA Nations game, right, he was Portugal's best player in my opinion. But okay, we'll see. Let's just hope the transfer go through in the next week. Okay, next week. Yeah, the next week and a half, 9 days. I think that's it for today. Thanks for listening, guys. Hey, thanks, Justin. All right, bye, guys.